Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Details Podcast, where we talk about all the details, design details, business details, lifestyle details, literally all the interesting things. And today I have the pleasure of having Hillary Capra on here. I said it right, right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Of Hillary Laurie Art, you guys. She is fresh back to her home state of, what is it, Minnesota, Michigan?
Minnesota. Yep.
Oh, I got it right. I got it right. Minnesota. And she's fresh off of seeing her hand-painted artwork in the Boot Barn corporate headquarters office. We haven't spoken, and I cannot wait to capture your raw reaction and emotion, because I told you via text, it's like, you're probably going to cry. I cried when I was there. And I was like, you've seen your work in its final home. Just brace yourself.
I mean, my cheeks are actually hurting right now. I'm smiling so much. I did cry. I definitely cried. But honestly, from every inch of that place, I cried. But it was really cool.
My gosh. Yay. Okay. So usually I start with an origin story, but I almost want to go backwards. Let's start with, I guess, we were doing art for Boot Barn. Obviously, I own the Heartland interior design, and I had so much on my plate that I already had a good art kind of built out, but I needed help. And so I had Ashley come in and really help me with art and plants, coordination, communication, sizing, framing, install, stuff like that. Handled those emails for me, which is life-saving. And we had some art picked out, and then something didn't work, and then we needed some new artists. And I was like, Ashley, do you have the bandwidth to find a really good Western artist in a price range that we can deal with, that we had already had numbers in? She's like, yes. She went to town, found you on Instagram. You came in hot to trot, you were quick to reply, quick to give quotes, quick to communicate. And then, long story short, you got 3 original painting works of yours in Boot Barn's corporate headquarters, and they look incredible.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, it was such a whoa moment. I think up until then, I've been painting and doing art my whole life, but honestly, it's so, some parts as a hobby, some part-time, and then we'll probably get to this, but chunks where it's a little bit more dependent on. But a lot of, when you're doing commission, sometimes you're painting what someone wants. But in this case, when Ashley approached me, I was shocked because it was so aligned with what I enjoy painting. And so it was and then, the second she said Boot Barn, I was like, oh, what? Excuse me? So yeah, it was a dream. It was so cool. And the style, the aesthetic, all of it was so aligned. I couldn't believe it. It really was just so crazy. And it was walking in there a year later and seeing them framed up, because then also sending them in just a rolled canvas, they kind of just seem, rough, and it's impressionistic art. So it doesn't, it's sometimes you need it in a room and framed up and see it finished to really get it. And so, yeah, it was pretty emotional seeing it.
Yeah, and shout out to the framers we used in Costa Mesa, California. They were legit. Their name escapes me right now, but I'll find it. We can put it in the show notes. But they were amazing. And I'll have Jesse throw up the images here of your pieces in the space, because I do think they fit so well within the overall context of each space that they're in. The first 2 are on the 4th floor of Boot Barn, which is the timber floor, which is treetops, it's the timber themed floor, because we did it all materiality. And so the 4th floor elevator lobby has these 2, 4, 6, 8 reclaimed wood hand-hewn columns going up, and then beams going across it. And then we have reclaimed wood up to 36 inches. Or no. We have face cut actual little tiny stumps, not stumps, but branches up to 36 to 42 inches. And then we have a ledge, and then we have reclaimed wood. No one cares about me explaining the dimensions.
I know what you're talking about.
and then in the 2, where the 2 columns frame a little alcove, we put 2 of your pieces, and we did a matte black art light over to really hit them with the spotlight like they deserve. And tell us about like walking off the elevator, 'cause obviously like seeing the building in itself is shocking because she's a work of art, but seeing your works of art, like as soon as those elevator doors open, what was that like?
Well, honestly, okay, rewinding because walking into the entryway of Boot Party, like you said, every single inch is a work of art, Tara.
Yeah.
Seriously, I rave about your work everywhere I go. But then like even walking through the first floor and seeing, I might get his name wrong because I only know him through Instagram. But Connor Lidstrom, his artwork was on the wall, and he's like an artist that like I just totally admire and love his artwork and am
He's
inspired
on
by
the
it.
second floor.
Second floor? I don't know what floor. I get lost. The whole place
First
was,
floor is Mark, and I think it's Maggiore, but I'm not sure.
I don't know, it was by that like really cool red couch.
Yeah, that's the second floor. No
Yeah.
worries.
Well, Connor's painting. Anyways,
I
I
weirdly know the place like the back of my hand.
I was lost, but that just seeing that originally was just like, wow, I'm like to be in like the same place with my art felt very like a high honor. It was very cool. And then yeah, eventually walking off the elevator and seeing my work there again, seeing it framed and in that setting, it just sometimes art when it just like is in its home and it's in the space and it's like decorated in the way it should be around it. Oh, I honestly just melted. And I was with my husband too, which was like extra special because he was a part of that journey of like me putting those pieces together. So yeah, I was in shock. And again, I like personally love those pieces so much. Like I want them in my house. And that's not, that's not every piece all the time. So yeah, it was very, very special.
Yeah, amazing. And then you took like some baddie photos with them. I was like, she's straight up modeling. Does she have a glam squad? Is someone like perfectly placing her hair pieces because she looks so polished?
Oh my gosh, no, it's like 1 of 100. And honestly, I hate that so much. If you like, Tara, if you could see me in like real life in that moment, all I knew is I don't know if I'm ever gonna come back to Boot Barn to see these. So I'm like, if I get any sort of content out of this, I have to buck up and do this. And my husband is like, taking the pictures. I'm like, I don't know, this isn't very flattering. And I'm so awkward with this. And luckily when this whole tour was planned, it was like a work from home day for Boot Barn. So luckily I didn't have any sort of audience around me. It was just like the three of us.
I'm like thinking of Ruben this whole time. Shout out Ruben, you're the freaking man. So when we arranged Hillary and her husband, because you guys were in California for like work, like your real work, and art isn't your like full-time job, but you were in California for like your full-time job work conference. You're like, is there any way, Tara, that we could see the space? And I was like, for freaking sure. So I called Paul, did some emails, got Ruben on it. He was going to be there Friday to like let you guys in, show you around. He is the freaking man. He helped us so much during install too. And like when we did video and we needed like music turned off or lights turned off, like he's like full like control panel, like he's like making your wishes come true. So first of all, the fact that I saw your photos, I'm like, she's a model. What? Second of all, like I knew that from Instagram, but then your Boot Barn pics were so perfect. I was like, did she hire full glam squad, like full photographer? And Ruben's just on the side, he's like, get it, girl, get it, girl, get it, girl.
I was feeling embarrassed that poor Ruben had to like hang out during that moment.
Got a wife and a daughter. He knows.
I don't. An audience of one, and my husband doesn't count. He was the photographer, so he was doing the work. But thank goodness no one else was there because that is so not my thing.
Oh my gosh, no, but you are drop dead gorgeous. Like that was one of the first things I saw on your Instagram. I was like, whoa, is she like full-time model, part-time artist? Is this what's going on here? I was like, I think so.
Oh gosh, I'm like turning red.
No, it's okay. You are. I'll stop. Okay. So then you walk out of the elevator lobby, you kind of go through the workspace, and you you're coming around the side of the waterfall in the 4-story interconnecting stair to the break room. And then in the break room nook, it's like this like total wood clad wall, and there's this recessed screen bench and this chocolate came in vinyl wallpaper, and the high contrast between that darkness and then the bright background of your third piece is just, I love the contrast.
I do too, Tara. I love the placement of all the pieces, but that felt so unexpected, like that wallpaper in there, that burgundy, like, what is it? like
Chocolate.
well, like the texture though.
Oh, the Cayman?
Yeah,
That's with
and
the
then
crocodile look.
yeah, exactly. And with the texture of the wall and the depth of the color and then the painting, like you said, the brightness and the contrast, yeah, I loved that placement. It was so cool. And for me, that actually, like, of the three, that maybe was like, how do I say, like my not least favorite of the three, but in a way I felt like it was so bright in a way. So seeing that just pulled it together and I loved it. I thought it was so good. So cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because also like I can't remember. It's kind of a blur. Did I show you like the materials or like the spaces where yours were gonna go, or did we just tell you what type of art we wanted? I think we just told you like the
Just
color schemes of art we wanted.
just the size, the kind of the aesthetic in terms of like that the loose brushstroke, which obviously already aligned, and then the types, like the style of painting in terms of subject matter, and then just to include Boot Barn Red into the pieces. So other than that,
Yeah, and like the two in the elevator lobby are much more neutral
yeah,
in the color palette as far as like sage greens, a little
yeah,
bit of terracotta, a little bit of crimson red. Like that's really the pop,
mhm,
but there's still like the beige of the human flesh and like the
yeah,
brown of the cattle, and like it's much more natural, which blends a lot more with the wood walls surrounding it. Like tonally, it's a little more even, whereas in the Nook your piece has such bright white. Obviously we have like a black focal point in the horse and then there's the cowboy, but the sheer brightness of the background in juxtaposition with the darkness of where we placed it made it pop so much more.
yeah, yeah, it really did, and I love that the two that are together cohesively, they're really aligned in the style, and I think that they all three are, but I think that the one in the Nook kind of is an outlier a little bit, and I think it is its home is perfect.
Yay. What did your husband think? Because like obviously he's seen you go through your journey of painting and like I don't know, like besides like your guys' house or friends, like has he seen your work out in the world?
Yeah, to be honest, it really was an emotional journey because I mean, rewinding a bit more, I kind of mentioned this, but my art journey really like kind of has like progressed really like rapidly. For the most part, it was like I said, it was just something I enjoyed to carve time out. I've painted and doodled and sketched my entire life. And then kind of occasionally for family and friends. But then there was a year and a half now ago, maybe 2 years. I went through a layoff and for like a long period of time. And that really like progressed everything because there was just a really big chunk of time where like now art was like a means. Like this was like, okay, Hillary, like time to push this and time to step up and maybe make it something else. And which was so cool because as you can tell, I get a little bashful. I am not like loud in the world. And so like taking that step was kind of like vulnerable, I guess. And so
Proud of
having to
you.
kind of hustle and paint anything anybody wanted and any style, any texture, I didn't really even have time to like carve out where's Hillary's voice in my art. I'll paint anything.
Yeah, and then let
And
alone producing, but also marketing and trying
yeah,
to sell yourself and your like art, not yourself. Huh, that
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
edgy.
Art
But
clothing.
like sell your work. Like people don't realize owning a business is like 90% marketing, like 10% actually doing the work. It's insane.
Yeah, and honestly, and then stepping into the next set of audience, right? Because so for such a long time you're in the audience of your family and friends. Well, it's really hard to like, I listened to your in your first podcast when you talk about just trying to like start, you're kind of like not even valuing yourself
Yeah.
and your work at what
Yeah.
it should be valued at. So I think there was like this shift of like who my audience is, and that's when I started getting like commissions that were not in my circle and it was beyond my
Yes.
circle and strangers. And I think him, both of us having to really get creative in that time period. I think walking through Boot Barn was just like, I think a lot of pride for him and a lot of like, he knows the sweat we both kind of went through and in that time period. And I since then do have another job. But in addition, so art is part-time for me, but yeah, I think he was flooded with some emotions. Not that he was like physically crying, but I know he like his sense of pride was loud, and um, he he's watched me, paint in the middle of the night or trying to like get things done and find the time around the kids. And so I think he just really appreciates that effort, but then also seeing it in such a professional commercial space like that was, I hadn't seen my work to that extent yet. So it was very cool.
Totally. And girl, it's just up and up and up and up. Okay, you mentioned something really important that I want to touch on because we do love to talk business on the podcast. You mentioned that your work, like a year or year and a half ago started getting seen by your target client base. Tell us, like, what is your target client base? What is your ideal client base? Like, who are you speaking to when you are doing posts on social media and you are trying to sell your work?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's shifted a little bit because it's kind of had to transition while still trying to sell pieces. I think really owning what I enjoy painting and understanding like, okay, it's not necessarily someone just wanting a painting of their old cabin, right? Or their pet and so forth. I love the
Not the
stories.
pet pics.
Yeah. Yeah, I do paint pets occasionally, but I would not say I market to that. That might be an occasional thing, but I would say Boot Barn really opened my eyes in terms of like the commercial side of things, and creating more collections. I had really shifted my content around like because it seemed like in the art world it was like everyone just is out there teaching art, right? Or and teaching their process and then I don't know who at one point I saw say like, gosh, are you trying to get more artists as your followers? And I basically solely have marketed on Instagram. It has worked. I felt like Etsy for
Yeah.
me was a bit of a flop, and so forth. But it really shifted like, oh yeah, like why am I over here talking about what colors I'm mixing? And then it really shifted to like, I need to start really talking about my story and what my connection is to these pieces. And because someone that's interested in these paintings, if it is a collector, if it is a commercial space, they want to know the artist. They want to know the story behind it. They want to know there's a connection to that piece. It's not just a random painting produced, right?
Yes,
And
people
so,
love a good story. They fall in love with the story first, almost before they fall in love with the brand.
yeah, exactly. So I kind of stopped making as many just like process videos, and I still do reels of like while I'm painting,
Yeah, I
in the
love that.
process of it, but less of the teaching aspect and
Yes.
trying to gain a more and drawing more value to even like the pieces in its space, right? Because the
Yes.
collector is going to want to see what that might look like in their living room or their boutique hotel or and so forth. So it's a little less of the um me just talking about what colors I'm mixing, I guess is what I could think of. It comes to mind.
Yeah.
Audience wise, I don't know. I kind of think of this like there's like these. This is funny. I hope they don't listen to this.
Wait, what?
There was a moment of time I was like, I need to like really think about my like avatar, and I remember thinking of this like family friend gal, I won't say her name, she's like chic. She kind of grew up in the country, but she's like in her like 50s. She could totally throw some change at a beautiful painting for her house. She's not looking for a deal, but she's looking for her story piece that like wraps it up. And I think of my brother-in-law's mom all the time. I'm like, Tammy, she's my audience. That is who I want in terms of like I just think of that of
Yes.
the pieces in her home. I'm like, yeah, they're so aligned. And I think of that, I don't know, avatar of who I'm catering to a little bit more.
Absolutely. And you can have too. Like when you're talking about
Yeah.
homes versus like commercial spaces, those are two totally different
Mhm.
pitches, totally different needs, different timelines, different budgets. So like I have two like ideal clients and one's a commercial avatar, one's a residential avatar, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I love that you're like getting clear on that. And I do think like the more clear you get on that and the more clearly you speak to those people in your marketing, like the more you'll get that. Like it just put it out there. It will
Yeah.
come, you
Well,
know?
and time has been a big factor because where I'm at now, I'm not able to carve out as much time to paint and knowing that I'm really restricting the commissions I'm taking on because I want to really like use the time I have to push my own skills, push my own the color palette, texture, subject matter. I know this arena that I love, and I think for me to like use that time to like focus on originals, because at this
Mhm.
point it's not as much of a means at this time. So it's something I can come back to the joy of the art. And then I feel like those are the pieces I end up really falling in love with. And then I see that value and I know like, okay, this cohesive collection, I know I can market this with so much confidence and know who it belongs to in that sense.
Yeah. 100% question. So like are you planning on doing like a once a year or twice a year drop of originals and then eventually opening up like Jaclay's or reproductions or whatever they're called?
Yeah, I would really like to. That's kind of my goal. I actually have like three. I'm going on a long road trip like tonight to Florida. So
And
like
thank
I
you for making time for us.
no.
Thank you, Queen.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm excited to be here. But I'm like so excited to just like sketch that throughout the drive because in my mind I have like three collection ideas that I'm just like so eager to like just I don't know, explore and just like kind of plan and play around with the composition and so forth. So, but yeah, it takes so much time. And sometimes while I'm like so appreciative of different commissions that I've been able to create, sometimes it pulls away from that time to like play and explore and like, I don't know, push my creative skills and also kind of I really want to find that distinguishable voice in my paintings that, as recognizable. So I'm excited to kind of, yeah, like you said, have these drops, as well as eventually, yeah, it depends on the circumstances if I'll have prints or not available. Maybe limited prints.
Love that. Love that. Okay, so that's the ultimate goal is to get to the place where you can create your collections that you're jazzed about. You can drop them when you're ready and you can make reproductions and sell those at like a reduced price. One thing you mentioned that was very interesting to me because I always look at everything like this as a business owner, where we put our time is so key. And it's like in my line of work, I feel like I'm constantly educating people on actually what the truck and interior designer does because people do not know how much time goes into it. So I'm wondering, do you feel like the same thing is true with art? Do you feel like people don't know how much time goes into it? And if you had to like, I don't know, use Boot Barn as an example or use another current project as an example, like how many hours do you think from like idea, concept, like full process to mailing it, do you think it actually takes for you to create and send out a piece?
I don't know, Tara. People ask me this question, and I'm like, you know, because some paintings, okay, this is such a woohoo answer, but like as a creative human, like I don't know, sometimes your creative juice is just like flowing, and you can create efficiently, and you're like, it's like a once and done. You're like, oh, I love this. It's done, and it doesn't take long. And then there's sometimes it's just painful to just like, and you're reworking and you're repainting and you're like, even that the boot barn piece of the man with the like riding the horse
Yeah.
and I redid that face so many times. It just was not working for me at the time. And so I think I don't charge by time because I feel like it would be too much pressure on me to be like, oh, I have X amount of hours to work on this. I mean, I have a deadline like that in terms of like what I'm providing a piece out. But I also find that like for me, especially like if I'm painting the last piece I painted, I end up putting it above my fireplace in my living room and I stare at it for like a week, maybe two. And then I'll go up, I'll bring my palette up and I'll like touch something. And like, well,
Yeah.
my husband, nonstop. It's like I have to keep staring at it or come back to it, or I'll be like watching a show with my husband and he'll be like, "You're just like looking at your painting," and I'm like, I'm looking at so many details to be like, "No, that's not landing. It's not working." And so I can't put a time on it because it just I'm constantly like reworking things or staring at it or spending little or a ton of time on it. So I don't know. I
Do
don't
you
know.
know how much time you put into the three pieces for Boot Barn?
No.
Wait,
No.
did you use like a time tracking app or anything?
No, no, gosh, no. But this is why I charge by the square inch, like because then it's on me. Like if that piece took me 10 minutes or that piece took me 40 hours, that's on me in terms of like getting the right value for the size. And
For
then
sure.
I don't have to worry about how long it takes me because it's actually like it's gonna hurt me if I send out a painting that is like not up to par, right? So like I'm
Yeah.
not yeah. So
Yeah, that's the thing about artists is like we care so much more almost than
yeah,
anyone would ever think because we're like we want it to be great. We are artists. Like I think of myself as an artist with 3D spaces, you know, like the interior environment is my canvas and I just want that art to be perfect. And like we live in the real world, nothing is perfect, but you know what? We try.
well, and do you find that you're like staring in a room and you're contemplating of like, oh, that needs like 3 books stacked, or like, oh, that lamp should be like maybe over here compositionally, or like, I bet you're constantly staring at a space thinking like, reworking it in your brain.
Yeah, I don't think as much in terms of like decor as I do like
Design, like
like scale, proportion, light, form, balance, texture, juxtaposition, like those things. And if a decor piece throws off the balance, I'll for sure be like, that's wrong.
yeah.
But I don't focus as much on the decor pieces. Honestly, like in my dream world, I wish I could like hire someone to do the decorating because I really like the designing, but that's a whole different story. Um but yeah, I feel like things always take so much longer than we think. Since you charge by the square inch, do you limit the number of edits someone can do? Because what if it's like infinity edits and you're making edits for years or months or weeks, you know?
Yeah. To be honest, I haven't really like came into that. Like I haven't had that issue. Only once, and it was a small watercolor painting a couple of years ago, and that was like a very easy fix. So um I never really ran into it again. I probably should have a more systematic approach for when that happens. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know
No
yet.
worries. Like I know I read your contract, but I like don't really remember. I don't feel like you had like
No.
hardy terms and conditions.
I don't even think I sent a contract. I'm like probably not a great business person, Kara.
You know what? This will all come. You're gonna get so big, you're gonna need all these things.
I'm just over here painting.
You're just I get it though. Like that's my heart. I'm like, I'm an artist. I want to do all the artsy things. And I'm like, oh, I live in the real world and I have to have like
Yeah,
business contracts and terms and conditions and attorneys and parameters and like all of these things that are so crazy, but necessary, you know?
absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay. Love it. Let's see. Let's talk about a little bit of your life outside of painting. Or do you want to talk about your life outside of painting or your like life leading up to painting? Because I love your story about what you said, like your dad recently got a box out of the office or out of the attic and
Yeah.
you found a bunch of your old sketches.
I know. We can talk about both. I think they're pretty intertwined. Just me as a human, I feel like very rooted in my upbringing. Like I think as a
Mhm.
kid, I was very aware how much I appreciated like living in the country and having like space to roam and just being in the woods making a fort, or like I think a lot of my creativity and like just kind of that space to be vulnerable was like something I like really loved. And now as a mom of 3 very curious adventurous little boys, I've like put a high value on like making it that similar lifestyle for them. And so I guess starting with my childhood, I grew up in Moorhead, Minnesota with like a farmstead. We had about 20 acres or just under, and in a wooded atmosphere around. And we, like me as a kid, I was constantly doodling. I mean, honestly, since I had a pen, our family was in Canada, so every road trip it was just if I could get like a
Wait, you
new
lived
notebook.
in Canada?
My parents they lived in Canada. And all of my relatives are from Canada. But when I
Wait, so
was
did you grow up in Canada?
no, I when I was really little, we moved to the States, and
Wait, so you were
so
born in Canada?
I was born on the border. I was born in Roseau because it was the closest hospital. So
Wait,
yeah, my
what?
sisters were born in Winnipeg.
Wait, you were born on there's a border town?
Yeah.
Okay, and also, also, I'm having a moment because the only other artist that I've had on here was Canadian.
Well, you know what? We must have something special up north.
Yeah, Ali Pilly is from Canada, eh? But you guys do different styles of art, like totally different styles. But
Yeah.
oh my goodness sakes. Okay, continue. Sorry, I had like a brain computing moment.
No, that's okay. But I guess why I say that is because, yeah, we would just spend so many hours on the car running up to see family and such. And I just vividly remember, like, whenever I would get the chance to get a new notebook You know those like little small notebooks too? Those were extra special, but I would be doodling and drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing all of my homework, all of my textbook, everything just had like drawings and doodles. And so, yeah, I've like always known, and I wasn't painting back then. It was just always drawing and sketching.
Sketches.
And I loved drawing people all the time. I've always actually loved portraits. I think in more of my recent years, I didn't paint portraits as often because I just felt like, well, who wants to hang a face on their wall? But like now I'm getting back into it because I like to
They're
really,
hard.
really do enjoy portraits.
You do. I think they're hard. Like I love to sketch, and my dream is to be a painter, honestly. But faces are so hard. Like a lot of times, I'll like sketch everything but the face, and I'll be like, haha, it's done.
Just shoulders.
No, like the whole body and like the hair. Like my favorite charcoal drawing of mine from college, not to make this all about me,
Yeah,
was of
yeah.
my friend Hannah Schur's hair. Shout out Hannah Schur. I'll try to get a picture of this, but it was just like, it was a still, class, like you're drawing a still frame, but it was a person. And I was like, I'm just going to draw her hair. And I went to freaking town on that hair. It was my favorite thing I drew in college.
Oh my God. Well, and it gets addicting because then the details or the highlights or like the shadow.
Yes,
Oh,
in the shadow.
my thing is in what I want to circle back to now and like carve the time out to is like I think the trick was in high school when you had to have a new sketch every Tuesday. And so I felt like that practice of constant like a new sketch. I would always like grab a magazine like Cosmopolitan or something like that, or 17, was that what it was? I forget. But I would like pull a picture out of there and draw the woman or draw and it's funny because this is weird, but like the same way I enjoy drawing like a woman's face or painting a woman's face, and not just women, but I feel like there's a lot of beauty in features of a woman's face. I think not to compare, but I have the same feeling around like painting a horse. Like in terms of like an animal, I find the same level of beauty around the lines and the shading and the forms. And to your point, the story was my fast forward in life, my dad brought this box of all of these old binders of loose leaf paper and notebooks from all those car rides and all these things. And all of them were just filled with my like little sketches. And I didn't even realize how much I liked drawing horses back then because these binders were just filled with like stick drawing of horses, or like they'd occasionally get a little bit better. And the jaw of a horse was just like the always like
That's the hardest part of a horse, too.
but it's so
For
fun.
me.
Like I mean, like now luckily in an impressionistic painting, you can go crazy. It doesn't have to be so defined.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see like, wow, I like still as an adult have such a draw to like draw or paint a horse as I apparently did as a kid too. So it's kind of
I love that. Did you have horses as a kid?
we had three ponies, Buttercup, Brownie, and Lightning. And
Stop.
yeah,
Did
I'm
you read the
dying.
Pony Pal Club?
We had the Pony Pal books, but
Yeah,
we
that's like what I'm talking about, the Pony Pal Club
oh
books.
yeah. I thought like a club. I was
No,
like,
no, the books. I
I
read
was
the books too.
intrigued.
And there's two little girls from my church that they had horses, but I didn't have horses, but we wanted to make a Pony Pal Club. So I had an imaginary Palomino.
My sister, I think that was half the reason she wanted horses, was she just wanted to read her Pony Pal books on her horse.
Of course.
It was, I mean, yeah, it was so cool. Mine sadly mine was a baby and sadly got hit by a truck, and it was very devastating.
You
It's
got hit
sad.
by a truck?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I got out one night. They all three got out one night. Yeah, but I've survived since. But poor
been a-
Lightning, it's sad.
It's been a minute.
was-
Oh, girl, I'm
But I
so
am
sorry.
dying. I keep trying to pitch some horses to my husband because we could where we live, but
Yeah, because you said you live on land, you have a lake, your three little tater tots are out there four-wheeling around. Oh my gosh. We went to my brother and sister-in-law's, and their little one had like a little like kid side by side. It was remote control, but you can switch it off so they have control. And my son and his cousin are like 1 year apart, and they were just zooming around because they live out of town too. And when you said that in your write-up, I was like, oh, that makes me think of my son and his cousin. That's so sweet. And being a boy mom is like a next level sport compared to being a girl mom, from what I've observed.
But yeah, I can't compare because I don't know. But yeah, I literally in just this last month, we've been to the urgent care ER
Oh no.
twice for older two because of like gouges in their face. And then just this week, my youngest, then I get out a meeting and he's got a big, like he fell in the garage on a snowmobile. And I'm like, okay, we're doing this one at home. It's not, he's got,
I
yeah,
saw that. I saw like medical people don't go to the ER. Like they do all of their things at
I
home.
mean,
The video
I'm
on
no
Instagram the
medical
other day, and I
person,
was like,
but watching what they did at the urgent care and not having a lovely experience, I was like, I'm going to just up my supply kit at home, I think.
yeah,
Don't
for
come at me,
sure.
anyone who's in the medical world. And
Oh my
but
God.
yeah, they're adventurous. And like as I mentioned, my life growing up and my life now with my family and my art, I just feel like are really intertwined. And I think like with my kids, we just really encourage it, like at a I don't know. I want them to live in a slow life, even though we are busy. But I'm just not signing them up for a lot of things yet. I want them to go play. My little 4-year-old, he would go down and go fishing in the morning, and he's like, Mom, he'll wake me up to just go fish or go for a walk or go carve a river in the gravel kind of thing, and I appreciate that a lot. And so I try to like I don't know. It's like important to me, I think, is just to let them explore, let them be so bored that they have to go find something to do. And I've seen them just really grow in their curiosity and just like actually they're like critical thinking. And so I think it's really fun to watch them just tear up the yard and be crazy.
So sweet. And you
Yeah.
guys go fishing. What type of fish do you guys have in your pond?
Um, it's a little lake. We there's about like 5 houses around the lake, and we have bass, we have northern crappies.
You have
Some,
northern pikes?
hmm
That's big fish.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's some big fish in this little pond where we kind of
They
call
have
it a little
teeth?
fishing hole. Yeah, it has a stream to a bigger lake, so we get a lot of movement and yeah,
You have northern pikes with teeth.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. I was like fully expecting you to be like, oh, we have some crappie and some smallies. And you're like, oh, we have largemouth bass and northerns. I was like, what?
They don't bother you like when you're swimming and stuff. They're there. You catch them.
And that's wild.
It is fun. Yeah, we do a lot of fishing. But yeah,
Do
I
you
don't
eat
know.
them? Do you do your own fish fries?
You know what? No. And I complain about this all the time. I need to like just own this and start doing it because
Okay.
I grew up where we would go to our cabin on Rainy Lake in Canada, and we would then to our family cabin and we would have these giant fish fries. And then I meet my husband who grew up on a lake and they never do fish fries. Like they fish and no one fries them up. They just put them back. I'm like,
Yeah, my husband's a big fisherman, so like we always are eating walleye, fried
yeah.
walleye. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you have to do that for sure, for sure. Okay, well, tell the people what is next. What is on the horizon for you?
Oh, I should have thought about this question more.
What does
I
2026, 2027 look like? Is that
yeah,
easier?
yeah. I think for me, it's going to be a larger focus on, like as I mentioned, originals. I like when these pieces can be cohesive together, and whether they're sold together or not, that's okay. But I think a collection of pieces. I foresee myself doing a lot of smaller pieces too, in terms of just like actually like practicing and pushing my skills a little bit further and like expanding. Like I tend to jump to the same color palette all the time. I love texture and I really want to like layer that back into my art. In terms of like subject matter, I've always come back to those country roots and but expanding that kind of Western aesthetic a little bit. I have some portraits in mind that I really want to play around with. And
Are there like people, like specific, like Western actors or influencers or like any specific brands that you want to go after? I love speaking things like this into existence. Like, I would love to work for Levi. I would love to design Levi's corporate headquarters. I would love to do Ariat's corporate headquarters. And then even like other smaller companies that are super fun, like like Mirren Crosby or oh, there's just so many fun, girly, colorful boot companies. I'm like, I would love to do your office.
Well, it's so fun to push the boundaries a little bit in your work. And honestly, myself too. I can't think of like in terms of companies off the top of my head, I haven't really thought of this, but I do think that is somewhere I want to lean and honestly just network a little further because that's somewhere I probably haven't put as much time in like putting myself in the right rooms and talking to the right people around. Um,
Yeah, but also it's 2026, so you can even just follow the right people on social
yeah,
media and interact with the right people.
that's true.
That's how I got the boot barn job was I was following Aisha and interacting with her, and
Yeah.
when an opportunity came up, she just remembered my name, you know? So it's
Yeah.
like they say you're like the three people that you hang out with the most, but it's also like nowadays who you follow the most, what
Yeah,
podcasts you listen to the most, what books you read the most. It's not always,
absolutely.
you don't always have to be in the room. While that is part of it, it's not all of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Actually, my husband and I talk about that all the time in terms of just our like life and like just vision of life. You're exactly right. And I don't know. I guess I haven't like dialed that piece in, but I think in terms of just like the what I'm creating, um yeah, I think I see some more commercial space opportunities. I feel like or someone that is that type of collector or someone that's looking for like a boutique hotel or a restaurant or
Those are the dreams. I want to
yeah
do both those too. I mean, I've done a restaurant, but I haven't done a boutique hotel.
well and it's like sometimes it's like I think sometimes my work especially some of the work that I really want to start pursuing it does come across as like a theme, right? Or a feeling that is maybe more boxed in versus like me just making a really pretty landscape that could go live in any space, right? Someone
Yeah.
wanting this like sexy cowgirl isn't going to necessarily, that's not for everybody's living room, right? So I'm
Yeah.
trying to kind of push myself past like the personal buyer. And it's going to be more specific. And I think the beauty in it is that, like right now, I get to dedicate that time to playing and doing that versus it being like a means for me at this time. So it's like I can push those boundaries a bit and like be vulnerable in it because it's not at like a huge loss if I have to choose between painting what I want to paint versus like just any basic landscape, let's say, for example.
Yeah.
But
No,
I
that's a
don't
good
know.
point. Which reminds me, I have a client who wants a landscape painting in her entry, but she wants it to be like, because she's in New Mexico, she wants it to be like neon pink orange sunset, like
I
bright.
mean,
Okay.
it's
So I
so
just like my
fun.
brain is always like,
Well, but that's like a great segue because I think for me in this time, it's like allowing myself to say no and recognize because I think growing up in art and then high school is where I really picked up painting and painted everything. And I really felt like, I mean, I could paint a lot of things. And so then when I got back into art more professionally, it felt like I can paint whatever anyone wants me to paint, I guess. Well, now I don't want to paint just anything. I want it to be where I feel so like energy to paint it. And so being allowing myself to say no, it doesn't align with my style or interest in painting, and therefore it's not going to be what they really desire either, right?
yeah,
So I'm not the right fit for them in that case, and I think like getting to a place where like comfortably say that I think is good.
totally. Saying no to opportunities just leaves more time to say yes to the right ones.
Well, and it's yeah, time's everything because if I say yes, that's also taking time for my family. So it's like if I'm carving the space to create art, I want it to have so much feeling and meaning and depth and soul behind it. And I think that like I'm so excited to like have this space to like dive into that. And if people want it, sweet. If they don't, then it's just gonna live on my walls.
Yeah. So do you have like a goal date for when your first drop is gonna be?
Mm, no, Tara, I shouldn't say this. I tend to overpromise.
It's okay. September.
Yeah, hopefully
September.
before September. Let's say summer. We'll put this into the world. I'll come up with something in the summer.
How many
Early
pieces are you aiming for?
summer. Hmm.
How many pieces are you aiming for?
Okay. Probably 4 to 5. Yeah.
And are you in any galleries, or is that something you're going to pursue? Is getting your work in galleries?
You know what? I thought this was this has been in my mind a lot. I think for me, I haven't really like put myself out there in that sense. Like even just like the art community of Minnesota, there's a lot of opportunity that I probably should be paying attention to, or I might have been like late to like sign up for shows and things like that. Um, and that's been okay. But yeah, I'm eager to. I think I don't know how it will serve me in terms of being in a gallery. I think if anything, it's more of a pride thing, and having it in a gallery is a really a big step, maybe a feeling similar to Boot Barn in that. Um, but I would be paying to have my art in the gallery in a
Yeah.
way. So I don't know.
You
I
know, if
think
you
there's
wanted
a
to
lot of
spend a bunch of money, I would say get a booth at Round Top because thousands of people who align with your style and your look and your budget go through Round Top every spring and every fall. And I haven't looked into like booth prices,
yeah.
and there's obviously tons of different vendors that you could get a booth at. But like the last time I went, I was surprised how many new Western artists had booths there. And I was like, wow, this is great to see, you know? So I'm like, I could see you if you really wanted to, like, I'm sure it's an investment, do something like that once or twice
Yeah.
and like get a return on investment for like 5, 10 years of people like
Yes.
remember, like if you had business cards there and they took pictures of your work, they start following you on Instagram. Like that is so your target people that
Absolutely.
would be perfect.
And it's you're exactly right. And I think that's where I've been him and ha a little bit around like different local galleries, because exactly to that point, I'm paying for probably not, it's not probably a good return on investment where I see a booth like that absolutely serves. And it's so cool to see the variety of art. And when people are drawn to your art, that means something, right? And it's um yeah, it's cool. And I think that's a big goal for me too, is just really identifying a more distinguishable voice. And I've said that a few times, but in the past, coming from a place of just painting anything, um, I love that, like that Connor I spoke of, or Duke Beardsley is another artist I love, that you could see any piece and you're like, it's theirs,
Yes.
and I think there's something about that that feels really, really great. And doesn't, I don't know. I don't know what that exactly is for me. I think I'm close. I know what I love painting. But I
I
want
can tell your style when I see it, if that makes you feel any better.
I will say that felt good at Boot Bar. Like seeing them, I was like, huh, these do like align. And it like
Yes.
I mean, it's probably just a personal thing more than anything, but I
That's okay.
like that. So yeah, kind of.
Love that. I mean, yeah, your pieces at Boot Barn, coming back full circle to where we started, they are so different than the other pieces that are in that building, and they're so unique to you. I love the amount of texture in your pieces. I'm a texture girly. And what is that you get so much texture with it? Is it the acrylic?
That was acrylic, and honestly, like even like this piece behind me, there's like layers of um actually rewinding it. So back in high school when I like really, really like dove into like this love for painting, I hated painting on canvas. I, for some reason, had this belief and like a canvas board, right? Like just a canvas you buy from Michael's. I just didn't ever want to paint on it. I felt like there was no depth or soul. Like I don't want to just paint on a board. I want you to be able to see through my paintings or like feel it. And so I would crumple up anything I could find in the art room, whether it was like literally the paper towels or newspaper or uh, sandpaper or anything, just to see how the paint would absorb or drip or take to these different materials. And in very kind of mixed media, but I would basically Mod Project get that canvas to a place where it's like is just junk. And then I would paint. And I like loved that the layers and the depth. And sometimes you'd see the little words of a newspaper and the deep behind, behind the transparency of it. And so I find that like there's a few paintings I started kind of doing that with last year. I don't know if you've seen like that woman cowgirl. That's
Yeah,
literally my
she's
favorite.
cool. The
It's
green.
like,
She's green, right?
yeah, she's
I love
my
green.
and I love that. Honestly, I put this in my notes too, but I tend to like not sign those paintings. I get them to a place. I love them so much, but I don't
But you
sign them
can't sign it.
because I'm like,
You
it's not
sign the
done.
back?
I mean, I will eventually sign it when I deem it finished,
Okay, okay.
but layers and layers and texture but yeah, a lot of paintings I don't add all of those layers, but I wouldn't mind getting back to that. I think that was a really, um, I don't know, it really brings it off the canvas. It makes a viewer want to be like interpreting it themselves and understanding like, what is this? Like, what am I seeing through this? What is the meaning behind this? And they can kind of create that story for themselves. So
Yeah,
yeah.
like that dimension draws them in.
Yeah. And it's messy. And I think there's something like about that for me. I'm always like, I love the scribbles. I love the loud marks of color that don't make sense in the sky or
Oh,
um
I love a sunset.
yeah. I
I
know. So yeah,
love it.
that's
I love it. Well, Hillary, oh, this has been such a fun conversation. Like, I was genuinely so pumped for you to go to Boot Barn and see your work, and then also planning this after your tour. So pumped to like get to hear your
yeah.
thoughts on seeing your work, seeing the space, seeing your work in the space. And I am just so thankful that you snuck in an hour of your time with us before you leave for a family road trip where you're gonna sketch up all these amazing things.
Yeah.
But tell people where they can find you on Instagram or if you have a website or anything you want to plug.
Sounds good. Thank you. And Tara, I mean, a full circle moment of just like gratitude towards you and Ashley finding me. And that really was such a big deal for me. And yeah, it was incredible seeing your work and my pieces in that space. So
Thank you.
thank
Well, you
you.
knocked it out of the park. You are so professional and responsive. Like I said, your work looks stunning, and there couldn't have found a more perfect artist for that space. So thank you.
Oh, oh, thank you. Yeah, I mostly operate off my Instagram. It is hillarylaurie.art, and that's my handle. And yeah, I come follow me and check out the paintings that are coming this summer.
Yes, this summer. Okay,
More
girl. Well,
before that,
thank you
but
so much for your time, and I hope you have a fabulous and safe road trip.
oh, thank you, Tara. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to the Details Podcast by the Heartland. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow along on Instagram at The Details Pod, subscribe on YouTube, and leave us a review. Turn on your notifications to hear new episodes every Monday. See you next week. Bye.